Happy Valentine's Day, everybody! Are you looking for some free science fiction and fantasy books to warm you up this weekend? We've got them. Because every Friday, the team here at MetaStellar reads the first few chapters of each of the top 5 free science fiction and fantasy books on Amazon. And today's list includes several romantic novels from USA Today best-selling authors. Before we get to all that, hi everybody, welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. My name is Maria KOROLOV. I'm the editor here at MetaStellar, and today we were helped out by Melody Friedenthal, Luciana ALIOTO, and E.S. Foster. And Emma and Luciana are with us today. Hi Emma, hi Luciana.
Hey.
And this is Luciana's first time joining us, though she's written reviews for us before. So great to have you on board. Okay, so let's get into the books instead of like wasting our time doing other stuff. And we're going to start with book number 5. Let me pull that up on the screen for you. Here we go. And this is A Drifting Sun by Ashley Capes. This is the first of 3 books in the Exiles trilogy of epic fantasy. The other books are $1 each and $4 each, and they are not in Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited is where you pay 12 bucks a month and you read all the books you want. And it's a really good deal if you read a lot of books, but these books don't qualify. All right, Luciana read this for us. Luciana, what did you think of this book?
I really liked it. I really liked the style and the way that it was written. I do have some reservations in terms of world building, but I think overall it's something that I would like to keep on reading and finishing, and potentially also reading the whole series.
So what's the book like?
So the book, it starts off with a prologue, and in this first part we are introduced to Thorn. We don't really know who he is. We don't really know much about him. We know that he is king, even though he's not supposed to be one. He uses magical powers to pretend and to create this illusion. And he has been at it for 15 years. And then the story moves on to the main plot, I guess. The next 3 chapters are going to focus on May's life and her point of view.
And so this is set in a classic fantasy setting?
I would say so. This is what I was saying about world building. I think there is some, it's not, I think it is kind of classical fantasy, but well, there is a kingdom, so I guess so. So yeah, I would say the answer is yes.
What's the main conflict? What does May have to do? And is there magic in this world? Obviously, that's the main question.
Yes, so there is magic. As I said earlier, there's Thorn. He is pretending to, well, he through magic, he has casted an illusion. He's pretending to be the king, and he has been at it for 15 years. And then when we switch on over to May's side of the story, she is part of this village where everybody has magical powers, which is something new. Actually, I don't think I've read a book where like the status quo is that there's everybody has magical powers. And the main conflict is that her brother is very, very powerful to the point that yeah, is a bit, he's too powerful for his own good, basically. He is so powerful that he can't control his powers, and he has become a menace to his fellow villagers. And so the villagers, after something that happens, at the very start of the book, they decide that it's time for him to leave. And May, she is the only one that will stick up for her brother. And that's basically the end of the 3rd chapter. The author leaves us a bit at a bit of a cliffhanger, so that definitely has encouraged me to want, to purchase the book or get the book for free and keep on reading the story.
So since this is Valentine's Day, I have to ask, is this like heavily romantic? Is it
I
really?
wouldn't No, I wouldn't say so. Sorry. I know it's Valentine's Day, but I think this is mainly fantasy. There is some romance, especially like in the prologue. We see that Thorn has an affair with this character. We don't know much about her. We know that she also has magical powers. I think up until like chapter 3, every single person, every single character that we've met has magical powers. And some concepts that are mentioned but not necessarily explored yet are quite interesting. Like sorry, let me quickly find it. Oh yeah, traveling to worlds belonging to previous lifetimes. I don't think I've ever read this premise or book with this premise before. So, yeah.
So in previous lifetimes, you were like in a different universe?
I think he's referring because this is only mentioned in the prologue and then the whole setting changes.
Okay.
So I think what they're referring to is like almost like an alternative timeline. I think Thorn is trying to leverage what his mistress could find out from this previous lifetime alternative timeline, and leverage it to his own benefit. To basically try and yeah, just use it against his enemies. So there's a bit of like a Game of Thrones happening here. You can tell that he has enemies at court and he's trying to stay in power.
That's a pretty cool mechanic. I don't think I've
Yeah,
seen it either. Emma, have you seen that?
No, I haven't really seen like I don't really see like alternate timelines or alternate realities in fantasy because
fantasy.
you often see it in like you connect it with science fiction. You don't really think of fantasy. So I like that idea.
You do
Yeah.
get alternate worlds, like you have a fairy world,
Yeah.
you know, or the demon sphere or something, but not like alternate reality kind of stuff. All right,
There's
very
like other stories too we reviewed where it's like, oh, this person was like it belonged in this world, but they were reincarnated in the next world. So it's like not an actual alternate reality, but like you experience both worlds.
Yeah. I mean, mine was a bit of a speculation because it hasn't been explored yet in the first 3 chapters that I've read. So I think I'm gonna have to keep you guys posted and let you know how that gets developed.
add a comment in the description once you find out.
Will do.
So people will have to subscribe to find out. All right, let's go on to the next book on today's list, which is number 4. Let me make that bigger for you guys so you can see it. Here you go. Winter Princess by Skye MacKinnon. This is the first of 6 books in the Daughter of Winter, a paranormal romance series, by a USA Today best-selling author. The other books are $1 to $6 each, and they're also not in Kindle Unlimited. And Emma read this for us. Emma, what did you think of this book?
So a bit of a disclosure, I didn't know this was like a reverse harem type of book going in. So I was really excited to see like all the different types of like world building and like the magic and things like that. And even though it's shaping up to be a reverse harem and it's probably going to be heavily filled with romance, I really liked the beginning and I enjoyed where it started off. So it starts with Wynn. She introduces herself because this is in first person, and she's this 22-year-old PhD student. She lives with her parents in Scotland. However, her parents aren't her real parents, and she also happens to possess magic, such as like telekinesis. So at different points, she talks about how she's able to move curtains with her mind and she can pick up stuff with her mind and things like that. So we get a little bit of backstory in the beginning of this chapter. Her real mother is the Winter Queen, and she's like this ancient goddess who used to rule over part of the world in like the Scotland area where Wayne lives. So now she lives in this different realm, and Wayne has always wanted to visit her, but she was given away to her foster parents as a baby. She never had a chance to see the realm. She's always wanted to, but no matter how many letters she sends, and her mother never responds saying she could visit. Her mom responds to the letters, but she never actually answers the question, and Wayne's always kind of upset about that. So the day before her birthday, Wayne receives this letter from her mother, and she's saying, like, oh yeah, now's the time for you to visit. You just randomly. And by the way, you're leaving tomorrow. So at first she's really excited, and she goes downstairs, she visits her foster parents, they have this little mini early birthday party, and she tells them the news. And at that point she's starting to have some mixed feelings because it's very sudden and she doesn't really know what to make of it. The next morning, this is where the action gets really exciting. She wakes up and she starts experiencing these convulsions, almost like seizures. So she tries to find her parents. She makes her way downstairs, and then everything, all of a sudden, she gets to the kitchen. All of a sudden, the knives and forks and the plates and everything, they come to life and they fly through the air to attack her parents. So her dad almost gets stabbed in the face with a knife, but thankfully she gets it under control. She gets it to stop. Then all of a sudden there's a fire that breaks out in the house and it spreads everywhere and she blacks out. So then Wynn wakes up, she sees that her house is burned down, but her foster parents are fine. And she realizes that four men who also clearly practice magic just from the look of them have arrived and they're trying to help control her powers. And then she covers herself in a pile of snow. Like snow just all of a sudden rains down on her. So one of them explains that this is all sort of normal in a way where it's like her magic sort of just has come into power on her 22nd birthday. And first it was like air with everything flying through the air, then fire, and then ice. So he said, okay, this is about the three big branches of magic. You really shouldn't have any problems after this. And then they also announced that these four men are Wynn's guardians as well. And they're going to bring her to Wynn's mother. So, like I said, I didn't realize that this was a reverse harem situation. And I realized that it's like all four men are probably going to get with Wynn at some point or another. But I think it was really nice to see in the beginning all of this character development and all this action. I don't think I'd continue with it just because of the writing style. Like there was a lot of exposition in the beginning and just like telling the reader what was going on. But I do think that I'd recommend it for like if you like fantasy romance and if you wanted to read something for Valentine's Day weekend.
Yeah, and the reverse harem trope, for those of you who are new to it, it's when the girl doesn't have to choose between the guys, she gets all the guys.
Yeah.
And as a rule, as a generalization, the books get explicit. So keep that in mind. If you're easily shocked, I tell you, be prepared. Okay, let's move on to another sexy, explicit kind of book, the sci-fi romance. Let me make that a little bigger for you guys so you can see it. So this is a very alien Valentine collection by Tana Stone, and it's a box set of the first 4 books in 4 different sci-fi romance series. And again, the author is a USA Today bestselling author. So think of these like popcorn books, except the popcorn is very sexy and romantic. The other books in this series, in each of these series, are $4 to $5 each, but they are all in Kindle Unlimited. And the author has been on our Free Friday list before. So I read this. I read the beginning of one of these books. So in the box set, you get Tamed, which is the first of 11 books in the Tribute Brides of the Drexian Warriors. There's also Ignite, the first of 6 books in the Inferno Force of the Drexian Warriors. And Legacy, the first of 5 books in the Warriors of the Drexian Academy series. And then there's Submit, the first of 5 books in the Skye Clan of the Teori series. And that's the one I read the beginning of. So the common elements of these kinds of books is that the woman is a modern woman from Earth, often very capable, and the man is a macho warrior from a warrior race, and who generally walks around without a shirt on and carrying like, I don't know, clubs and grunting, but for some reason has access to spaceships and faster than light technology. And this alien culture is very kind of macho warriorish, and for some reason they're short of women and they need Earth women as mates. And these are usually fated mate stories where they immediately know that they're connected to this woman. So all of these tropes are tropes that I absolutely hate and that make 0 sense. But the books are a little addictive. Okay, I have to admit that. So let's get into it. So in this particular book that I read, this is Submit, the alien warriors are the Teori, who have tails, horns, wear animal skins, and carry knives. But despite that, they're all extremely muscular and sexy. Our protagonist, Torst, is one of these aliens, and he serves in the immortal army of the Teori. and they're journeying through the galaxy in pursuit of their enemies. And also, since they're an all-male crew, they're trying to find some loose women. And one of the crew members is suffering from an early onset of mating fever, and he's under sedation. If he doesn't find a mate soon, he'll go mad. And everyone is worried that they might be next to be hit with this mating fever. And the sooner they can find some women, the sooner they can cure their crewmate and go back to hunting their enemies. Then we switch to the point of view of Leah, and she's on a transport ship with a science lab. She's part of the security team, taking a group of scientists and their research to a safer colony. And then they're boarded by pirates, and Leah and the other women are taken into slavery, and all the men on their ships are killed. Meanwhile, back on Torst's ship, they've been sucked through a wormhole and thrown 500 years into their future. And I guess they're going to meet up. That's another trope of these books. You often have point of view switching between the male and the female protagonist. So the story does move quickly, and there's plenty of action, and there's a lot of explicit language, even right at the start of the book, that makes me think that there's going to be a lot of sex, it's going to be very steamy, and it's going to be explicit. So the story is definitely readable, but I will not be sticking with it, not that I'd ever admit. So let's go on to the next book. Okay, it is Forgotten Stars by Odette Bell, the first of 4 books in the Forgotten Stars, a space opera series. The other books are $3 to $4 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. And Melody Friedenthal read this for us. And Emma, what did Melody think about this book?
So Melody had kind of like mixed feelings about this one because there's like a lot of different tropes, kind of like what you were talking about, Maria. And she said that some of it kind of landed for her and some of it didn't. So it starts off with the protagonist, Kim, and it's mentioned that he has like augmented armor. So there's this really cool type of armor that helps him out in combat and things like that, and which I thought was really cool. And all of a sudden there's an explosion. So it announced that the ship that he is on is infiltrated by enemies. We don't know what these enemies are yet, but she says that the book moves very fast and it gets right into the action, so there's a life or death threat to this hero, so she's interested. And we get to learn a bit more about the station's inhabitants, which includes aliens, kind of like reminds me of a Babylon 5 situation if you've ever seen that show. And we get to see some of the different descriptions, such as like people with scorpion-like tails and things like that. And we also get a little bit about Kim. We get some information, specifically that he is the only one who can save the ship that is now infiltrated by enemies. So Melody says that this is one of those only one tropes, which isn't her favorite. And Kim also doesn't want to be there. He's like that reluctant hero, you know. It's although he's strong and best in his class, he's got this inflated opinion of his own self-worth. Like, you know, the type. And he doesn't exactly like the fact that he is posted in this, like, decrepit space station where his duties are to train recruits and everything like that. But he seems to understand the nature of his, like, of the attack on this ship. And then we also learn a bit about different characters, including one who is potentially going to be Kim's love interest. She's also, like, she's one of the members of the crew, but she's one of those strong women type of characters, you know? So all of a sudden, these nightmarish creatures erupt from a fountain in the ship, and Kim attacks them with this like telekinetic sword type of thing. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, which I also thought was really cool. And so far, Melody says this book kind of reads like a 1930s pulp space opera because it's got like the invincible superhero. It's like all these different types of tropes in it. And she says it's not really her thing, but she wanted to read a bit more. Because on an away mission led by Kim to this other world, Amber, who is the strong female character I mentioned, she falls into this suddenly appearing hole and she falls for a long time. She lands in some sort of rocky chamber. So she says right here that the plot is getting a bit more interesting to her at this point. But for her, there was like, for Melody, there's too many contradictions in the text and that, like, there are a lot of different things that editing wise that she didn't really like. But she said that if you really like sword and sorcery or space opera or anything like pulp related, then you might be interested in this because there's a lot of action, there's a lot of heroics. She says to check it out.
All right. So this is my kind of book. Dumb
Yeah.
action space operas. Yes. Okay, so before we go on to book number 1 on today's list, I want to do a little bit of thanking. And I want to thank our patrons. Let me make that a little bit bigger so you guys can see that. There you go. With our newest patron is Christopher Luby. We publish a ton of original fiction. We have 3 anthologies out. Emma is helping us edit a 4th one right now. We've serialized a novel. We are able to do all this thanks to our Patreon supporters. All of us editors are volunteers. All the money that we raise goes directly to paying authors. So if you want to support original authors and original writing, please help us out. We would really appreciate it. We love you for it. We would not be here without you guys. And also I want to mention that Emma is a book editor and coach, and you can look her up. All her contact information is in the description box below. And although my day job is as a technology journalist, I also write novels, and I have 3 humorous science fiction novels up now, and they are somewhere down in the middle of the humorous science fiction bestseller list on Amazon. So check those out. They're free. So let's go on to book number 1 on today's list. Hell for Hire by Rachel Aaron. The first of 3 books in the Tear Down Heaven urban fantasy series. The other books are $5 each, but they are in Kindle Unlimited. The 3rd book isn't out yet. It's scheduled to be released later on this month. So I love this author. I have read several series end to end that she's written. They're humorous, they're full of action. There's a little bit of romance, but it's light on the romance, kind of the way something like say Fast and Furious has a little bit of romance in it, right? So it's mostly action. Love it, love it, love it. She's one of my favorite authors. I have her on my alert list. So anyway, the story starts with a witch, Adrian, taking a plane from the East Coast to the West Coast and trying to keep his talking cat familiar from being noticed by any of the other passengers. I love talking cats, so I was into this book right from the very beginning. When Adrian gets to Seattle, he collects his luggage, including his magical flying broom, and texts his contact that he's arrived, and his security team is ready and waiting for him. So it seems that our witch, Adrian, wants to grow a magical forest here in Seattle, and the king of the gods, whose name is Gilgamesh, is not happy about it, and the security team will have to protect Adrian from warlocks working for Gilgamesh while he gets the forest growing. Then we meet the security team. It's a ragtag group of demons who are also on the run from Gilgamesh, and they live in a magical Winnebago that's bigger on the inside than on the outside. So I loved everything about this premise. I mentioned the talking cat. I love the demons. I love the pacing of the book, the high degree of action here, the fact that the magical world is fully realized, weird but believable. And there's this big cosmic battle against Gilgamesh, which has some heartbreaking elements in it. It's very touching. And the lead security demon, the one who's in charge of this Winnebago, has a crazy secret that I won't give away. And so I've read this book to the end. Not today, earlier when I first found out. When I first found out about it, when I was reviewing one of her other books for the Free Friday. And I've read the sequel to this book. Also loved. I read them both in like one burst. And I'm signed up for the alert for the 3rd book, and I'll probably read it the day it comes out. So if you like kind of fast-paced, humorous, sarcastic, but really fun, actiony kind of action with only a little bit of romance in them, a lot of magic, a lot of demons and gods and moving between multiple planes of existence and all sorts of cool stuff. I highly recommend it. Like I said, I love it. And I also recommend her other 3 series, which are set in kind of a magical version of Detroit: DFC, Heartstrikers, and DFC Changeling. So highly recommend. Love this book. Can't wait for the 3rd book to come out. And so that is it for today's top 5 free science fiction and fantasy books. We do this every week. So if you don't want to miss any of these videos, subscribe to our channel. And if you want to get the list a little bit earlier in the day, we also have a newsletter that comes out, and you can subscribe to the newsletter. The link is in the description box below. And you can also buy our anthologies and buy Gods and Monsters. And if you want to learn more about Gods and Monsters, which is the book we serialized last year, there's a video of the author here I'm going to put up, and an interview with her in the first installment, because she read the whole book for us on our YouTube channel. Thanks everybody for joining me. Thank you, Emma, and thanks, Luciana. It was great having you with us. And everybody, here are the links to the other 2 videos. Thank you so much. See you all next week. Happy Valentine's Day. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.